The body of a young girl was found in a garbage dump. Her relatives immediately suspected her stalker, and he later gave himself up at her funeral. Marbella Valdez was born in Tijuana, Mexico in 1999. She had a difficult life. Her biological parents abandoned her, and she was raised in an orphanage and several foster homes. At the orphanage, she became close to Brenda, who was older than her, and they were very friendly and called each other sisters. At the age of 16, Marbella was taken under the wing of William Messick, who ran an orphanage. Marbella thought of him as her father, although he did not officially adopt her. Messick was very kind to her. William was married with children. Marbella did well in school, and after graduating from high school, she went to university to study law. She wanted to defend the rights of battered women. She also worked at a gas station to support herself. William Messick supported her. He helped her by renting an apartment for Marbella, closer to work and the university. Marbella was a modest girl who sang in the church choir. On February 5, 2020, Marbella didn't show up for her 6 a.m. shift. Her coworker called her. Marbella said she wasn't feeling well, wouldn't be coming in, and hung up right away. She sounded strangely scared. When her friend Brenda woke up at 9 a.m., she saw a text message from Marbella. She said she wasn't feeling well and was going to the doctor. Brenda called her, but she didn't answer. So Brenda and her friend went over to her house. Marbella did not answer the door or the phone. Brenda noticed that the window was ajar, so she and her friend climbed into the apartment. The girl was not home. Brenda called William Messick, and together they went looking for Marbella. She wasn't at work either. A coworker reported a disturbing phone call from her, which caused even more concern. She wasn't at the hospital or the university. Brenda called their mutual friends, but neither knew anything about Marbella's whereabouts. So they went to the police and reported her missing. While her family put up flyers with her picture and posted information on social networking sites, the police began their search. They began interviewing everyone who knew the girl. It turned out she had a boyfriend, Jairo Solano, and he didn't know where she was either. There was no way she could have run away. All her belongings were left at home, and there was no note. Investigators checked all the hospitals, but Marbella hadn't gone anywhere as she had planned. Her cell phone was disconnected and could not be located. Police believe she went missing between 6 and 9 o'clock in the morning. 3 days after her disappearance, on February 8, 2020, a man walking on a hill saw a suspicious large black bag at the site of a spontaneous dump. After getting closer and seeing what was inside, he called the police. The police officers who arrived at the scene opened the bag and found the girl lying face down with her hands and feet bound with yellow cord. She was wearing blue pajamas and slippers. It looked as if someone had taken her right out of bed. The girl had red-dyed hair and braces on her teeth. She fit the description of Marbella. Forensic investigators were able to identify her as 20-year-old Marbella Valdez. The girl was badly beaten. There were numerous bruises on her body, most of them on her abdomen. The beating was so severe that she began to bleed internally. The girl was brutally raped several times. The cause of death was suffocation. The perpetrator's DNA was found under her fingernails. Male bodily fluids were also collected from her body for DNA analysis. The police began investigating Marbella's murder. They carefully searched her apartment and car for clues and found a tracking device in the car. Investigators also interviewed the girl's relatives to see if there was anyone suspicious in her circle who might have taken an unhealthy interest in her and who might have been following her. According to William Messick, he noticed that Marbella had an admirer who had been showering her with flowers, candy, and teddy bears since the summer of 2019. The house was full of gifts, but she wouldn't admit who it was because she knew William Messick would be angry. Friends revealed that Marbella was being stalked by only one man. The suitor was 36-year-old Juan Perez Hernandez. She met him at work. Once he came to fill up the car and was stunned by the girl's beauty. The man became a regular at the gas station, only showing up on days when Marbella was working. In the mornings, Juan would bring breakfast to her and her colleagues at work, showing his concern. The man acted as a friend and did not flirt with her, but later he began to give her gifts. The girl did not reciprocate and kept him at a distance, but she was happy to receive so much attention from Juan. According to colleagues, she thought it was funny and did not pay much attention. Soon the man confessed his feelings and offered to go out with her. The girl refused because he was much older, married with children, and she did not need a man like that. But Juan did not give in. Marbella began running into him everywhere she went. She saw him at the store, on walks with her friends, at parties, and even outside her house. It was as if Juan was following her. The girl didn't understand how he knew where she was. He didn't know anything about her except where she worked. Marbella's boyfriend even received threats from the man. Juan demanded that the boyfriend break up with her, or something bad would happen to him. Marbella's friends told her to get a restraining order against Juan, but she didn't listen. He seemed to be a harmless and decent man. The police had a prime suspect and were seeking a search warrant for Juan's home. At that time, on February 14th, Marbella's funeral was being held. Juan showed up at the funeral with flowers. He was wearing a t-shirt with her picture on it and a cynical caption that read, "No longer a woman." Juan looked distraught, cried, carried the girl's coffin, and offered condolences to the family. Those attending the funeral noticed fresh scratches on his face and neck. By then, the relatives already knew he was a suspect. They disliked him, but they couldn't show them to anyone so as not to interfere with the investigation and so that he wouldn't run away. Police officers obtained a search warrant for Juan's home. During the search, they found a police uniform, hat, boots, and military camouflage fatigues. It turned out that he had once been a police trainee and had kept the police uniform. It was later discovered that he had been wearing the uniform and posing as a police officer. 2 cell phones were found in his home with applications installed to track the same device found in Marbella's car. That's how he knew where the girl was and showed up. He was also found in possession of spare keys to Marbella's apartment. Detectives examined Juan's computer and found that he had hacked into her social media sites and read all of her correspondence. It turned out that Juan was involved in the distribution of illegal substances. Investigators determined that Juan's 2 cell phones were with Marbella's phone at the time of her disappearance. At 7 p.m. on February 4th, he showed up at her house and stayed for a few hours. Then 3 phones arrived at his house that night. And on February 6th, the phones went to the area where Marbella's body was found. The police speculated that Juan drove to her house in the evening and waited for her to go to bed. During the night, he unlocked the door with a spare key, tied her up, and kidnapped her. The man picked her up, took her to his house, raped and beat the girl, and then strangled her. The next day, February 6, he took her body to a landfill and put it in a black bag. He apparently hoped no one would find her that way, but he was wrong. DNA samples were taken from Juan. The DNA analysis was a perfect match to skin particles under Marbella's fingernails and male bodily fluids. Juan was arrested. He was charged with Marbella's murder or femicide because the crime had the characteristics of rape. He had stalked and known her, but insisted that he was innocent. The penalty for femicide in Mexico is 20 to 50 years in prison. The prosecutor plans to seek the maximum sentence of 50 years. The trial is still ongoing and has been repeatedly postponed due to restrictive measures. Brenda was very angry with the police because it turned out that she had told the detectives about the suspect, Juan, the first day after his disappearance. But her version of the story was not even considered. Brenda blames the police for this because if they had checked Juan's house immediately, they would have found the girl still alive and could have saved her. Marbella's friend Eva, who was older and in her final year of law school, said they had a disturbing conversation before she disappeared. Marbella wanted to meet on the day of her disappearance to talk about the laws that protect women's rights and to consult with her. Eva now realizes that Marbella needed help and wanted to protect herself, but did not have the time. Marbella became the 17th victim of femicide in Mexico in 2020. A total of 940 women were murdered in Mexico in 2020. In her honor, a portrait of the girl was painted on the wall to represent all victims of femicide. Because of the tragedies in Marbella, William Messick organized free self-defense classes for women, which he himself teaches as a martial arts master. I will be following the progress of this trial and will definitely let you know about the verdict. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Let's discuss this story in the comments. Thank you all and bye.